It's time for another Marvel list. It's 1997, coming up on this episode from Bronzeville Comics. Hey there, comic book community. This is Jim from Bronzeville Comics. Welcome you to another video. If you like the content on this channel, please become a subscriber. We come out 3 times a week, Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday mornings at 10 o'clock Eastern Time. And every week I'm doing one of these yearly lists. I'm doing Marvel in the 90s right now. We're almost done with that. I have some huge collections coming up that we're going to be taking a look at, and a big unboxing. Nothing back from CGC yet, but maybe soon. And like I said, I have some really cool collections to look through. Anyway, let's dive into 1997 for Marvel Comics. Subscribe, like, leave a comment down below, and let's get started. So in 1997, Marvel Comics, at the end of 1996, Marvel Entertainment Group had filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Toy Biz acquired Marvel and rebranded them as Marvel Entertainment, saving them from bankruptcy. But creatively, they were pretty much approaching bankruptcy. And I think one of the issues that was going on was that Marvel, that saved Marvel eventually, was that they had only released one feature film prior to this based on a Marvel character. And that was in 1986, and it was Howard the Duck, which was a terrible film that even fans of Howard the Duck generally didn't like. It wouldn't be until the next year, until 1998, where Blade would get his own movie. In the meantime, there had been Marvel movies, but they were direct-to-video. The Dolph Lundgren version of The Punisher was released direct-to-video in the United States, did get a theatrical run overseas. There was a Captain America movie starring Matt Salinger, J.D. Salinger's son, which came out direct-to-video, and there was also that Roger Corman-produced Fantastic Four film that was never meant to be seen theatrically, that kind of surfaced almost on bootlegs. It was just a movie that was made to retain the rights to eventually make a movie. And so we're 11 years away from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but we're only a few years away from Spider-Man and X-Men popularizing Marvel characters to a different audience. Right now, things were thin. X-Men, we're several years into the run of X-Men, and like 5 years after that huge print run of X-Men 1, the huge hype behind Spider-Man #1 by Todd McFarlane, and people buying multiple copies, and then just the bottom crashing out of the market, and sales of Marvel Comics decreasing significantly. So let's see what's on the list. And I really had to pull to get 10 books on the list, and a few honorable mentions. So let's get into the top 10 list. At number 10 is Spider-Man 425, which has had a single CGC sale of a 9.8 for $58. And you could probably get a raw book for about $10. This is the first appearance of the Electro-proof suit. Number 9 on the list is Amazing Spider-Man 427, which has had a CGC sale, a high CGC 9.8 sale of $80. A raw book is about $10 in high grade, and largely it's because of this classic Dr. Octopus cover. Nothing much else behind this book. And there are just a few titles that are actually able to maintain their value from this this era. Number 8 on the list is Deadpool #2, which is about $66 in a CGC 9.8. There was one sold in the last year. And it's about a book you can get $10, maybe $15 raw in a high grade. Number 7 on the list is Deadpool #11, which did have one CGC sale in 2001. That was in December for $300. That was a little bit of an anomaly. The previous high sale was in June of 2019 for $195. And again, a raw book is probably in the $10 to $15 range. This is the homage to Amazing Fantasy 15, and it's the first meeting between Deadpool and Peter Parker, Spider-Man. Number 6 on the list is Deadpool #4. There was one CGC 9.8 sale of $180. That was in August of 2018. Raw books are probably in the $15 range. It's this classic cover, classic battle between Deadpool and Hulk. Number 5 on the list is a book that we saw with DC lists in 1997, and that's Silver Surfer Superman. And I believe I mentioned that Bronze and Modern Gods had done this on their 25 years ago segment of their show. It's one of these books that came out of the Amalgam Universe and the All Access DC Marvel 4-issue miniseries that came out in 96. They did the Amalgam line of characters, and we had highlighted both on the Marvel and DC list, The Legend of Darkclaw. They did mashups of different characters. Spider-Boy was Spider-Man and Superboy. Bruce Wayne, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. was obviously Batman and Nick Fury. Magneto and the Magnetic Men was Magneto and the Metal Men. And the X-Patrol was X-Men Doom Patrol. So then they also did a number of crossovers with various characters. They did Silver Surfer, Green Lantern. They did Batman, Captain America by John Byrne, which took place in the 40s, which I actually enjoyed quite a bit. That came out in 97. This one had 2 sales. It's Silver Surfer Superman, and it had 2 sales in 2001 and 9.8, $135 in December and $118 in August. It's a crossover between these 2 iconic, powerful, cosmic characters as they face Mr. Mxyzptlk and the Impossible Man. Yeah. Number 4 on the list is Spider-Man number 76, which has had an average sale in the last year of $127 in a CGC 9.8. Goes for about $20 to $25 raw. And it's the first appearance of Lucius Crown. I think I misspelled that. Who becomes the Hunger. And the Hunger may be the villain in the Morbius movie. So this book, people were specking on it. It could have some value to it. 3 9.8 sales this year, in the last year, or recently. 200 in January, 100 and 130 in December. Raw copies, probably in the $20 to $25 range. The minimal number of keys from 1997. This is a book that you may be able to find. Not everybody is really knows about this book. So it is a book you may be able to find. Number 3 on the list is Uncanny X-Men 350, which had 2 CGC 9.8 sales in the last year. Actually, the last 13 months, really. $200 sale in October and $150 sale back in January of 2021. It's about a $20 book in a high-grade raw. And it's because of this classic Gambit cover by Joe Mudiera. And it is a holofoil cover. There is a regular edition and there's the holofoil edition. The holofoil goes for more money. Number 2 on the list, and a solid number 2, and this is Deadpool Volume 3, number 1, the first ongoing series for Deadpool. He had 2 miniseries prior to this. This is a book that sells for an average of $228 in a CGC 9.8 and approximately $25 for a high-grade raw. The most recent sale was $204 in January for a 9.8, and the high sale was $478 in August. There also was a $380 sale in October. Those seem aberrations. You can get them for much cheaper now. $228 might be a little bit high. You could probably get a copy for less than $200. It's also the first appearance of Blind Al, and it's where Joe Kelly re-envisioned the character a little bit to a little more comedic, more of what we're used to from Ryan Reynolds in the movies. Deadpool's coming to the MCU in some way, shape, or form, and I imagine his books are going to increase in popularity. Blind Al has appeared in the movies, portrayed by Leslie Uggams, and so it's a book that still has potential. Number 1 on the list, and there's a clear number 1 here. It's a great superhero book. People have been speculating heavy on this pretty much since the summer, and that's Incredible Hulk 449. The first appearance of the Thunderbolts, this classic cover, including the Thunderbolts and Hulk. The average CGC sale in the last 90 days, according to CoverPrice.com, is $876. You're going to have to pay about $1.25 for a high-grade raw book. The sales in January, there have been two CGC 9.8 sales of $662 and $640, and there was a high sale of $1,150 in May. In May. The market was crazy in May. I don't see when it's going to hit those heights again, but there's a lot of speculation because the character of Valentina Allegra Alessa de Fontaine, portrayed by Julia Louis-Dreyfus in First Falcon and Winter Soldier, and then the end credits of Black Widow, she's putting together some type of team. Is it going to be Thunderbolts? Is it going to be Dark Avengers? We're not sure. We know it's going to probably include Zemo, the Abomination, you know, and U.S. Agent. Those seem to be the three characters that have already been recruited. She tried to recruit Yelena Belova, and this is something that is building definitely towards something. The question is it going to build towards Thunderbolts? Zemo's involved, or perhaps Dark Avengers. Now, for my money, the portrayal of Norman Osborn in the MCU is a little more problematic after they kind of redeemed the character in No Way Home to a degree. They brought Willem Dafoe back, spoiler warning, or we know from the trailer anyway that he was coming. And so I'm not sure what that character's future in the MCU is. I actually have a question about any Spider character's future in the MCU as opposed to the Sonyverse. There's now different versions of Spider-Man. We actually have 4 Spider-Man universes. We have Tom Holland in the MCU. We have Tobey Maguire's version. We have Andrew Garfield's version. They're likely coming back. And then we have Miles Morales in the animated films. A lot of places to go, and so who knows what we're going to see. Let's quickly go through the honorable mentions because there's not a lot here. Amazing Spider-Man number 421 is the first appearance of Dragonfly. Somebody bought that for $29 at a 9.8. Uncanny X-Men 342 cover B featuring Rogue by Joe Muderiera. Did sell in a CGC 9.8 for $84, about a $5 to $10 book raw. Uncanny X-Men 345 is highlighted on a Key Collector, and it did sell once for $50 in a CGC 9.8. According to cover price, the raw fair market value is $3, and it's the first appearance of Maggot, a boy who has the ability to command 2 slugs that live in his digestive system. I could see if James Gunn gets back into the MCU, I could see him all over Maggot. That's the kind of character that would be perfect for a James Gunn project. Also, in 1998, Marvel did a series of team-ups, crossovers with Top Cow characters. Now, Top Cow was an imprint of Image Comics. It was founded by Mark Silvestri in 1992. It included titles like Cyberforce, The Darkness, Witchblade, books that you see all over the place in 90s dollar bins. And we will talk about that when we talk about independence. The Witchblade was the most popular and longest running character that came out of that imprint. And she did have 2 seasons of a TV show on TNT starting in 2001. So the most valuable book did have 3 CGC 9.8 sales this last year, and that's Wolverine Witchblade. An $80 sale in December, $40 in September, $60 in June. So even in 9.8, it's barely worth more than the price of getting it graded. And then there was one sale in June of 2022 of X-Men number 62 in a 9.8 of $75. That's got a $2 fair market value. So I think Marvel was bottoming out in 1997, financially, creatively, and in terms of print run. Things would get better. As we all know, a little bit in 1998. Still, it probably wouldn't be a few years until Marvel got back on its feet. And even the values of the comics from that period haven't really taken off. So that's it for the Marvel list. Let me know down below what you get, what you have, what you want, what you think of this list. Did I miss anything? Let me know. We're nearing the end of the Marvel 90s, and then, which is going to be a little more work on my part, trying to get some independent stuff involved. So we'll take a look at that. Probably independent 90s books after this. There's some great stuff out there. and some of it's a little harder to find, and some of it has lower print runs. So let me know what you think. Here's DC in 1997. They did actually a little better, but all based on one title that we're going to see in a way on the screen very, very soon. And down here is the Marvel list from 1996, which is a little more robust than 97. So take a look at those, like, comment, subscribe, and this is Jim saying until next time, enjoy your comics.